47 years ago, they called it the eighth wonder of the world. Today, it's a $1 billion question mark that's dividing an entire city.
Will the iconic Houston Astrodome, empty for years, rise again? Another proposal presented today to convert the former home of the Astros, Oilers, and the rodeo into something new. The price tag, $1 billion.
The Houston Astrodome, abandoned for over 2 decades, just got approved for the most ambitious stadium renovation in American history. But here's what's got everyone talking. This isn't just about saving an old building. This is about whether spending $1 billion on a dead stadium makes sense when Houston has schools that need funding, roads that need fixing, and communities that need investment. I'm about to break down the most controversial infrastructure project in Texas, show you exactly where that $1 billion is going, and reveal why cities across America are watching this project like their future depends on it. Because by the end of this video, you'll understand why the Astrodome debate isn't really about the Astrodome at all. Here's the situation Houston found itself in. The Astrodome has been hemorrhaging money for 25 years, just sitting there costing millions annually in basic maintenance while generating zero revenue. But here's the kicker. The entire NRG Park complex was facing $1.9 billion in deferred maintenance costs. That's billion with a B. So Houston had 3 choices: demolish the Astrodome and still face massive maintenance bills, keep ignoring the problem and watch costs spiral even higher, or try something nobody's ever attempted before. They chose option 3. The Astrodome Conservancy, working with Gensler Architects, unveiled Vision Astrodome, a plan to transform the abandoned stadium into a mixed-use entertainment and commercial hub. But the price tag? $1 billion. And that's where the controversy begins. So what does $1 billion buy you inside a 1960s stadium? 4 massive new buildings constructed entirely within the existing dome structure. We're talking about a central event arena, a food hall, office spaces, retail areas, and hospitality venues, all under the original roof. But here's the part that's got engineers excited and taxpayers nervous. They're creating a boulevard-style walkway inspired by New York's High Line that cuts through the dome, connecting NRG Stadium to the NRG Center. The goal? Transform the Astrodome from a dead asset into a 365-day-a-year revenue generator with 450,000 square feet of flexible event space. Critics are asking, why not just build this somewhere else for half the cost? Supporters argue, because nowhere else gives you the iconic dome structure and the existing infrastructure of NRG Park. Here's where this project gets really complicated. You can't just drop 4 buildings inside a 1960s stadium and hope for the best. The Astrodome was built with a revolutionary tension ring roof system. The entire structure is held up by carefully balanced forces. Add weight in the wrong place and you could compromise the whole building. So engineers had to completely reimagine structural integration. They're installing new foundation systems that tie into the original structure without weakening it. Steel framing that works with the dome's tension system, not against it. The complexity is driving up costs, but it's also creating something that's never been done before. Buildings designed to exist inside another building while maintaining the integrity of both. And then there's the sustainability angle that's got everyone talking. Here's where supporters make their strongest case. Studies by Stantec show that adaptive reuse of the Astrodome will reduce carbon impact by 76% compared to demolition and new construction. That's a massive environmental win in an era when every city is trying to hit net zero carbon goals. But critics counter, what about the carbon cost of construction? What about the increased traffic and emissions from all the new activity? The environmental debate highlights a bigger question. Is it better to preserve existing structures even if they're not perfectly suited for modern use, or demolish and build new with better efficiency? The Astrodome project is betting on preservation, but not everyone's convinced the math works out. Here's where the controversy gets real. How exactly is Houston paying for this $1 billion project? The funding strategy relies on public-private partnerships combined with historic tax credits. Because the Astrodome is on the National Register of Historic Places, the renovation qualifies for significant federal tax breaks. But here's what's got taxpayers concerned. The public sector is taking on much of the financial risk while private partners stand to benefit from the revenue streams. Supporters argue this is smart financing that minimises taxpayer burden. Critics say it's corporate welfare disguised as historic preservation. The economic projections show $1.5 billion in regional economic impact over 30 years. But those benefits won't flow directly to the taxpayers funding the project. The Astrodome Conservancy promises thousands of permanent jobs from the redevelopment. But what kind of jobs are we talking about? Construction jobs during the build-out phase. Those are temporary but well-paying. Permanent jobs in retail, food service and events. Those are long-term but often lower wage. Office space jobs could bring higher-paying positions, but critics ask, why not just build office space somewhere cheaper and use the savings for direct job creation programs? The job creation argument is compelling, but it's also where the project faces some of its strongest pushback from community advocates who want guarantees about local hiring and wage standards. Here's the controversy nobody wants to talk about. What happens to the neighbourhoods around NRG Park when this billion-dollar development opens? Property values are likely to increase significantly. That's great for current property owners, but potentially devastating for renters and lower-income residents who could get priced out. The project could trigger the kind of rapid gentrification that transforms entire communities, displacing long-time residents in favour of higher-income newcomers attracted to the new amenities. Supporters argue economic development benefits everyone. Critics point to countless examples of development projects that enrich some while displacing others. Here's what's got urban planning experts both excited and worried. If the Astrodome project succeeds, every city in America is going to want to copy it. That could be great news for adaptive reuse and historic preservation. Or it could be terrible news for public budgets as cities chase expensive prestige projects instead of addressing basic infrastructure needs. The Astrodome is becoming a test case for whether billion-dollar adaptive reuse projects are smart investments or expensive vanity projects. And the stakes couldn't be higher because cities across the country are watching to see if Houston's gamble pays off. Construction is supposed to begin in 2026, with the first phase opening by 2028. But here's what critics are pointing out. Major infrastructure projects almost never come in on time or on budget. If costs spiral beyond the billion-dollar estimate, who's on the hook? If the timeline stretches out, how long will taxpayers be carrying debt service before seeing any returns? The project's complexity, building inside a historic structure while maintaining its integrity, creates numerous opportunities for delays and cost overruns. Supporters say careful planning will prevent these issues. Critics say that's what supporters always say. Here's the argument that's resonating with a lot of Houston residents. What else could the city do with $1 billion? That money could fund thousands of affordable housing units. It could repair hundreds of miles of roads. It could build dozens of new schools or community centres. Supporters counter that the Astrodome project will generate tax revenue that can fund those other priorities. But critics ask, why not just invest directly in those priorities instead of hoping for trickle-down benefits? It's the classic debate between big, flashy projects that might generate economic activity versus direct investment in basic public services. The project's supporters point to successful adaptive reuse projects like the High Line in New York or the Tate Modern in London as proof that ambitious renovations can transform cities. But critics point to expensive stadium projects that fail to deliver promised economic benefits, or historic preservation projects that became money pits. The truth is, there's no perfect precedent for what Houston is attempting. The scale, the complexity, and the funding structure are all unprecedented. That makes it either a visionary project that will inspire cities worldwide, or a cautionary tale about the dangers of betting big on untested concepts. Urban planning experts are split on the Astrodome project. Some see it as innovative thinking about how to handle aging infrastructure. Others see it as an expensive solution to a problem that could be solved more efficiently. Economists debate whether the projected $1.5 billion in economic impact is realistic or overly optimistic. Engineers marvel at the technical challenges while questioning whether they're worth the cost. Even historic preservation advocates are divided. Some applaud saving an iconic structure, others question whether this level of intervention still counts as preservation. here's what it all comes down to. The Astrodome project isn't just about saving a building or creating entertainment space. It's about whether cities can successfully transform expensive problems into profitable solutions. If it works, Houston will have created a model for adaptive reuse that cities worldwide will want to copy. The billion-dollar investment will look like visionary leadership. If it fails, Houston will have spent $1 billion on a very expensive lesson about the limits of ambitious urban planning. And taxpayers will be left holding the bill. Whether you live in Houston or not, the Astrodome project matters because it represents a fundamental choice about how we handle aging infrastructure in America. Do we demolish and start over? Do we let things decay? Or do we invest heavily in transformation, hoping the benefits justify the costs? Every major city has dead malls, abandoned buildings, and underused infrastructure. The Astrodome project is testing whether billion-dollar adaptive reuse is the answer. The controversy isn't really about